What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Danny the Bull, back with a live stream. Bitcoin's at $87,000, baby. Doesn't it feel good waking up to an $87,000 Bitcoin if you're waking up right now? But when I woke up this morning, I think it was like 85,000. I don't know. Regardless, it feels good being out of the chop, which we were in for 6 months, and now being in the parabolic phase of the market that's just getting started. It starts with Bitcoin. It moves to the larger caps. Then it goes to our alts. That's when it gets really fun. We're going to talk about it, talk about the entire market, what to expect. Also talk about some price targets for the bigger caps. All right, I'm looking at some of the bigger caps, trying to figure out where they're going to go and look at the overall market and see where we're headed. We'll talk, of course, about Metacade, which has been ripping, which a lot of us hold. I'll be talking about some Tectum, some Mintlayer, and some other alts I think are good buys, because there are a lot of good buys right now. We're in just the beginning, right? Altseason has not yet started. And so if you're not positioned yet, what are you waiting for? Because when the moves start, they are violent. All right, you see that with Bitcoin, which is a large cap. Bitcoin is over $1 trillion asset, right? And you see the pump that it's had. When alts run, the moves are violent, okay? And you want to be positioned if you're not already. So we'll talk about that. As always, be active in the chat. Let's see who we got here before we get started. Russ G in the house. Yeah, there is a Metacade announcement coming at right about now, I think. Let me refresh to see if that went out. Not yet, but Russ tweeted that there would be a Monday announcement loading. I don't know if it's in regards to the unicorn, the partnership that I'm assuming that they've secured. But whatever it is, I'm excited to hear about it. So we'll probably check that out live on stream. Cash in the house. What's good, brother? Frank, good friend in the house. 87K. Let's go. We have a little taste of the bull run. Yeah, and that's what it is. A little taste. Good stuff. Main course is still in front of us. B-dubs in the house. What's going on, brother? So a lot of people here excited about Metacade, as am I. But let's, smash the like button. Eddie in the house. What's good, brother? Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Doesn't that look nice? 87K Bitcoin. I think we got as high as 87.5 a little while ago. It's pushing towards 88. And people are wondering, when pullback. The thing is, there's a saying, the bigger the base, the bigger the breakout. And we had quite a big base, right? If you look at the last year, we've been in a chop from March through last week. We've been in a chop for 8 months. That's a long time to chop. People expect a quick pullback because we've been conditioned to expect quick pullbacks because we've been existing inside this sideways chop, but we're no longer in this chop. This is a new environment, right? So we have to adjust to the new environment. Not saying that it's up and to the right forever. There will be pullbacks, but they're not going to come as quick as some people might expect. And Rect Capital put out a good tweet yesterday. In the 2017 cycle, it took 8 weeks of upside into price discovery before Bitcoin experienced any sort of deeper pullback. In the 2020-2021 cycle, Bitcoin rallied 4 weeks into price discovery before a deeper pullback. It's only week 1 right now, right? It's only week 1. So it's early. And, maybe we hit some resistance in the 88K level. But, I wouldn't anticipate any deep pullback just yet. And in fact, I anticipate 100K Bitcoin by the end of the year. We've got about 7 weeks or so, I believe, until 2025. And what are we? Less than a 15% move or so to 100K. And so I'm bullish. Your boy is bullish. This is what we've been waiting for. Ron's in the house. Let's effing go. My crypto, not yours. Chuck to a buck. This is breakout price action. Go with the move, not against it. 100% right. We have to adjust to this new environment that we're in and enjoy it. And it's not alt season yet. All right. So I'm already getting, so I'm noticing some signs of retail, their ears perking up. All right. I got 2 text messages today. One from my brother who I bought him some alts. He's got a bag of stuff. And he said to me, Bitcoin's at 85 and none of these shit coins are moving. I'm going to sell them. All right. I told him to do it. Then my brother-in-law texted me. And he said, I'm not making any gains. What the hell is going on? All right. So these newbies don't know, right? They don't know how it works. Bitcoin, then large caps, then alts. And we're not there yet in terms of alts. What we are seeing is some gradual movement on some stuff, right? But a lot of stuff has been flat. And then you're seeing like occasional pop-offs like Metacade, right? Metacade had a nice pop, had a strong week. All right, but we're seeing a slow accumulation, but alt season is not yet here. This is a chart that shows, when we get into alt season, we're up here. Okay? We're still down here. And we're going to get there, but it's probably, December, I would say, January. If you look at last cycle, this space doesn't, the cycles don't match up identically, but they rhyme a lot, right? We all know this, right? Don't bet against the cycle. We all know this. If you look at last cycle, alt started heating up at the end of the year, right before the halving, right? So 2020, May of 2020 was the halving. November, alts were popping off. We got a little taste of alt season. And they were strong until about April, right before the halving. And there was a little pop after the halving. But then they gradually declined and they were dormant from, October through January. They were dormant, right? It was Bitcoin season. And then they popped off in January and really got going and peaked in April. Right? April, May of 2021. Right? So they heated up in January, peaked April, May 2021. This cycle, very similar. November to January, really through March, right? So very similar to last cycle. We saw a little alt season and our portfolios were popping. And it felt different because Bitcoin hit a new all-time high prior to the halving, right? So it had never done that. So the idea of an accelerated cycle seemed, viable, but it wasn't, the cycle reverted and normalized and got back in sync. And alts went silent, right? They went quiet. And you can expect them to pick up, I would say, as early as December and, definitely by January. I would anticipate this alt season, and then you can expect it to run, looking at last cycle, expect it to run through the summer, right? If things move similarly. Last cycle, January through June. And last cycle was a double top, right? So market dropped in the summer, Bitcoin dropped, bounced back, had our, the grand finale was January of 22. So January should see alt season popping, expected to go through the summer. Maybe a similar thing plays out where, it quiets down and people freak out and you see your portfolio drop 60% until a final rally Q4 of next year. We'll see how it plays out. But looking at the past, you can anticipate the future. All right. And we'll see how it plays out. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just checking my phone to see if you guys let me know if MCADE puts that tweet out. Russ says, Ron called it Metacade a year ago. He knows a promising project. Sold all my OMI from MCADE in February. So glad I did. Thanks, Ron. Ron is a G. Introduced me to Metacade as well. I feel like my new portfolio is building, finally waiting for alt season. This is the way. Yo, what's good? Harish, Chuck to a buck. What's good, Val? So, again, alts are going to start heating up. Be ready. And, there's still a lot of good deals in the market. We'll talk about them. But to talk about other things in the news, look at this guy. He's back. Charles Hoskinson. And ETH is a divisive project. A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. And it's been, down. It hasn't moved much, but now it's moving because of this. And the reason I bring it up is because it's something to keep in mind. And that is that you never know what type of catalyst will come for a project, what type of news story to push something, right? And this came out, Cardano founder reveals new details about his potential role under Trump, which potentially being an advisor on, the crypto world. And look at the performance of ADA. Up a good 50% at least, right? On the week, up to 60 cents. Look at that price action. And so a lot of these bigger caps can still offer good gains, right? You can get easy 5-7x gains, maybe a 10x gain out of some of them. I want to talk about some of my price targets on some of the bigger caps because I talk a lot about smaller caps, but it's good to look at, some of these blue chips also. And one thing to expect is for market caps to get bigger, right? So this is a 2013 cycle. Bitcoin was at 11 billion. The second biggest coin was Litecoin. 2017, Bitcoin hit 320 billion. ETH hit 70. Last cycle, we got $1 trillion Bitcoin. We got a $500 billion ETH, $100 billion BNB, $90 billion Sol. So we're going to see more coins getting into the $1 billion market cap. However, we're also seeing an exponential amount of more coins, right? So it's important to find good projects because there's a ton of dilution out there. All right. But while it's true that more coins will hit bigger market caps, there are also a lot more coins out there. Here we go. So I was doing some thinking earlier, and my base case on Bitcoin this cycle is about 150K, which would put it at just under a $3 trillion market. And I could see it falling short of that just because sometimes we get in this euphoric stage and people have these huge price targets. You're going to see big price targets come from people. And the reason why I like to do this sort of thinking is because I like to ground myself and think about different possibilities, right? And come up with a base case, a bull case, a super bull case. Last cycle, a lot of people were calling for 100K Bitcoin and higher. Plan B, a lot of people thought we'd have a longer cycle. Didn't play out that way. So this cycle, you're going to see people calling for $300,000 Bitcoin. Van Eck just did. And I'm not saying that it can happen. It can. But that wouldn't be a base case scenario for me. For me, a base case scenario would be about 150K, which would put out a $3 trillion market cap. Right? And if that's a $3 trillion market cap, and I would think that Ethereum would be around, so Ethereum last cycle hit 500 bill, right? And if it goes to $1 trillion, I think that's a nice round number, and it's about 33% of Bitcoin's market cap. You're talking about $4 trillion wrapped up in those alone, right? So maybe the total market cap gets to about 7 trillion. But my base case on Ethereum is about 8,000. My base case on Sol is about $750, a $350 billion market cap, which would put it at about a third of Ethereum's market cap, which it's a little behind that right now. Right? So I like to think of things in terms of like relativity, right? Like relative to a similar project. ADA, I can see going to $4 to $5. I could also see ADA, falling short of its previous all-time high and like there a bear case existing. But I think that Charles Hoskinson is such a big figure and a dynamic figure and a vocal and visible person that there will be similar headlines to what we saw today that will drive, ADA is one of the most recognizable coins and brands in crypto. And so I can see it hitting $4 to $5, which put it about $150 billion market cap. AVAX, I can see putting in a good 7x and going to where Sol was last cycle, 90 billion, 224. And I can see DOGE at $150 billion market cap. DOGE has run up to 31 cents, a $45 billion market cap. And this cycle is just getting started. And it's got its affiliation with the Department of Government. What is that called? Elon's government efficiency, the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, right? We're going to be hearing about that. And he's going to be tweeting about it now. It's a meme. And so for Dogecoin, I can see for the first time $150 billion meme coin. And it's important to think about these things because these prices act as magnets for other coins, right? So then you think about the other big meme coins, right? Brett, Shiba, Pepe, and how high can they go, right? So it's important to think on a larger scale and come up with possibilities. Now, a bull case scenario for Bitcoin, I can, 250K, a $5 trillion market cap, which, if you look at top assets by market cap, right now, Bitcoin's number 9, and it's the fastest one to get to $1 trillion, right, in its lifespan. No asset has gotten to $1 trillion market cap as fast as Bitcoin. And, its comparison is gold for a lot of people, including Larry Fink, who's pushing it hard, and all these, hedge fund guys and the ETF guys, they're now tasked with selling Bitcoin as a product to their investors. And so, gold is at a $17 trillion market cap right now. Could Bitcoin get to a third of that? Less than a third of that, at $5 trillion? I can see it. But I don't know if it'll happen this cycle or in the next year. That's a big move still from here. It's another 200% move. We're going to see, but I keep my options open. All right. I think that's the important thing, is be open to different outcomes and ready. But yeah. And then a bull case on ETH. If Bitcoin were to get to, that sort of valuation, I can see Ethereum climbing past the trillion, right? And getting into those 5 figures, crossing 10,000. Sol, I can then see $1,000 Sol, which is another line of thinking, that Sol gets to 500 billion, which is where Ethereum was last cycle. Right? It kind of makes sense for Sol to be a cycle behind Ethereum. And Ethereum hit over 508 billion, because this isn't the exact top, last cycle, right? Which was its second cycle. And this is Solana's second cycle. And so there's a line of thinking that maybe Sol gets to 500 billion, which would be $1,000. And what kind of return is that for everyone who was buying at $8, at $18, $13, $25, $40, right? What kind of a return is that if Solana is able to get to even $750 to $1,000, which at this point, $1,000 on Sol is less than a 5x away. And so it's going to be fun. ADA, if those things play out, a lot of people call for a $10 Cardano. I don't see it. 7, but I think that's big too for ADA, for what it is and what it does, unless the new avenue that Charles is moving down in terms of moving into the Bitcoin ecosystem, which I haven't read too much on, but unless something develops there, I just don't see a lot of activity over there. We'll see. AVAX could get a bit higher. DOGE, DOGE to $1 is only a 3x. Could it put in a 5x from here and get to 225 billion? That'd be a big number, but we're going to find out. All right, so I came up with my base case, my bull case for some of these big ones. I'm going to do mid caps also, and I'm going to revise my small caps, which I've shown on stream a bunch of times. And has Russ put out that? Just refreshing. No. You guys let me know if Metacade puts out their announcement on what it is. Let me see. All right. Dino Dragon asks, anything going on with Rio? So I haven't looked into, I know that they just had their vote to increase circulating supply over like 4 decades, which caused a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt and FUD, and people talking shit about Rio. But I think what it did was create a buying opportunity. They just finished their migration, which was only for tokens on Ethereum and BNB. So if you're holding Rio on Algo, you don't need to do anything. I haven't paid too much attention to their updates lately, but on chart, they're moving back up and recovering. Looks good, right? So this is 11% on the day. Is it 54% on the week? I'm not sure these wicks down were due to the migration. So this is not true. This is fake news. I think the true low from the week was about 70 cents. So it's up a good 30%, close to 30% on the week. And, Rio is still a good buy. Chart looks good on the year. It's been in this nice reaccumulation phase right here. And I expect new all-time highs for Rio. Launched at the end of last cycle, so it didn't have a real full cycle. Went to $4. Earlier this cycle, it went to $3. I fully expect it to blow past that. So Dino's asking, I hold Rio on ETH. Do I need to migrate? No, I think you should have received an airdrop of new tokens. All right, so go check that out in your wallet. Look, they released a Medium article you can check out, or if you visit their website. So Rio looks good. Show us your spreadsheet with Metacade. All right, this is my old one. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find my old spreadsheet, which I need to revise. Here we go. All right, I found it. I got to revise this. Let me lock this. Just bear with me. I want to freeze this. Here we go. Sorry. Bear with me. Let me freeze this column, one row, one column. All right. I didn't do it. I still didn't do it. Screw it. All right. So Metacade. I see Metacade. I think a $300 million market cap is, very doable. That's why it's in yellow. I think the yellow indicates very doable, and the green is very possible. Right? I can see Metacade at 40 cents, $750 million market cap. I can even see it at 80 cents. I can see it at $1 billion market cap. Will it get there? I have no idea. No idea. Right? And I only say that it can reach $1 billion market cap because there's precedent for gaming tokens from last cycle to get into the billions, with Gala at 4 billion and Axie at 8 billion. Axie was, that was a viral kind of play. And so I wouldn't have an expectation of something that high. But could it get to $1 billion market cap? It's possible. But my base case would be in the, $500 to $750 million market cap in a true alt season when the gaming narrative pops off. Like if we get those things, right? Everything is conditional. If we get an alt season that is bigger or as big or bigger than last, if gaming is a hot narrative, then I think we could see Metacade 500 mil, 750, possibly $1 billion token. But time's going to tell. We'll see. Is token supply inflation modeled into these predictions, or even token deflation? Not on ETH. I didn't factor in deflation. No, and for those big caps, I didn't incorporate supply inflation just because it's a little less at this stage for like Solana. Solana's got I forget what their inflation rate is, but it's not wild like, a token that's vesting 50% over the next year or something like that. And so I didn't take that into consideration for those. What up, HG? MCADE hit 1 million volume. Yeah. Crazy. I'll go over Metacade in a little while. Big news with Medicaid. Russ is surprising us with a hair transplant. That's funny. That's a good one. B-Dubs, thanks for the super. Do you have any RWA plays outside of Rio? My other RWA play, it's an RWA / Bitcoin play, is Mintlayer, which I talked a little about before. Where is Mintlayer? Let me pull it up. Whoops. Give me a second. So Mintlayer I like it because it's a scaling solution for Bitcoin, right? It's a side chain. It's a layer 2 side chain for Bitcoin that's looking to open Bitcoin up to DeFi, right? To tap into Bitcoin's liquidity for real world assets, right? To tokenize the bond market, in the future to tokenize the real estate market. I had Enrico on my channel. He's the founder of Mintlayer. I had him on my channel for an interview a good 5 months ago, maybe. He talked a lot about the technology. And so it always caught my eye because, again, Bitcoin is front and center this cycle with the ETF narrative, with institutions getting into it. And then a question becomes, how does Bitcoin scale? That's why I like Tectum a lot, right? Because Tectum offers the soft node technology that allows Bitcoin to scale. The soft node technology allows people to transact with Bitcoin super fast and privately. Mintlayer will allow people to tap into Bitcoin's liquidity and swap Bitcoin in their DEX that's coming out. So they got this launching. They got Atomic DeFi introducing the first DEX on Mintlayer that enables cross-chain swaps with native Bitcoin, allowing you to access DeFi without risks of using wrapped versions of Bitcoin. So they're coming out with I think their layer 3 is going into beta at the end of the year. They're coming out with their DEX. They're going to have projects launching on Mintlayer. And it's got the dual narrative of scaling Bitcoin and RWA. Those are the two RWA plays that I have. There are others I talked about with Ron. I'm not as familiar with them, but I'm thinking maybe Ron, I don't know if you're still listening, maybe Ron will come on Wednesday for a stream and we'll go over some other, alt picks and prepare a good amount of them. But I really like Mintlayer also for the staking. So they have their Mojito wallet, which is super easy to use. And in it, you can stake Mintlayer. And it's super easy. You could do it in-app without having to, go on desktop, connect a wallet to a website. It's all done in-app. And, a friend of mine actually taught me how to do it this weekend because I'm so lazy about these things. I should have been staking Mintlayer for months because it was yielding 100% APY a few months ago. At one point, staking Mintlayer was yielding you a 200% return on your token. Right now, because more people are starting to stake, it's lower. So it's at 60%, but that's still an insane opportunity. And so I've been staking my Mintlayer. I got some tokens. They release every week. You can unstake whenever you want. It's super easy. And on top of that, if you stake this month in November for 10 days, you are eligible for an airdrop of their Atomic token. All right, so that's that DeFi project. And I know I think Frank stakes his Mintlayer. And we got a bunch of people in the community who do that as well. So Ron says, yes, sir, let's do it. So there you go. Wednesday in 2 days, we'll do a stream, Ron and I, and we will put together some altcoin picks, some low caps, some that are still good buys, to help people prepare for the pending alt season. But before I move on to other stuff, now let me go to CoinGecko. So Mintlayer's at 11 cents. It's up on the week about 20%. But look at on the yearly chart, it hit close to $1 back when alts were ripping. Right? This did a quick, and this shows you just a reminder, because we forget. We've been accustomed to the chop. We've been accustomed to, alts popping and then retracing quickly. Just a reminder that back on November 13th, Mintlayer was 4 cents. And on January 10th, it was 94 cents. 4 cents to 94 cents. Okay, what is that? A 20x in 8 weeks. Just a reminder for how fast alts move, right? In that sort of environment. And so it's about a good 9x away from previous all-time highs. And if we get a good, strong alt cycle, it could get to a nice market cap. There will be dilution over the next year. I think right now the market cap is 18 million, right? But I think adjusted for a year from now, how many tokens will be in circulation, that 18 million is likely to be inflated to like 35 million, right? Just for tokens coming into circulation. So it will be diluted. Something to keep in mind. Frank says, yep, staking Mintlayer for a while now. Great returns. Building your bag. Yeah, so I don't usually stake because oftentimes you have to connect your wallet to a website or do a lockup period, and I don't like any of that stuff. So Tommy Vesper, after what Charles Hoskin said last night on Spaces, I can't focus on any of this. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Fill me in, brother. We got an 88K Bitcoin. Let's go. Let's see where we at. 88.2. How high will it go? Amazing to watch. I find it harder to sleep in a bull run because I get like wired looking at everything climbing. Let's check Ethereum. 3,300, 3,339. So Ethereum typically, right, does its lagging behind Bitcoin, and people were giving it up for dead. Last month, there was FUD on ETH when it was hovering in this $2,500 range, but it was doing what ETH does, right, which is typically lag behind Bitcoin. I think the difference this time is that people saw Sol running, right? But without if Sol wasn't doing what it had done, I don't think people would have questioned Ethereum as much, right? And they shouldn't question Ethereum because Ethereum is still, the king of alts. And it's still what a good 30% move off of its all-time high, right? So which is good for, again, things like Chuck. Let's pull up Chuck chart. Right, and you see, let me refresh. This is the Chuck 4-hour, very nice. And anything that's tied to ETH, right, is going to outperform ETH if it's a strong project and if there's buy pressure, right? And you're seeing that with Chuck. This is the 4-hour chart. It's a steady climb. And then every once in a while, you get a big candle from big money coming in. And this is nice. Let's see. The OMI bag feels heaviest before the bull run. And the thing about it is, when you're holding something that's not moving, that's a second cycle coin, it's not overly complicated in crypto. If you study, the thing about it is, we shouldn't marry altcoins, right? I look at all my altcoins now as just, a ticker. Rio, TET, I'm not emotionally attached to any of them. They're just tickers to me with price action and market caps. And when you get emotionally attached to a project, you end up bag holding a bit. And crypto is very basic, right? First cycle coins perform best because they're shiny new objects, because no one's holding a bag, because everyone is in profit along the way, right? And that's not to say that there aren't pullbacks, right? But I'm saying once like the alt season kicks off, I'm going to pull up Metacade. And obviously, pre-salers who got in at a high price and there was a pop off here. But if you were buying in this accumulation phase and the reaccumulation phase over here, if you're buying down here and now Metacade is popping off, anyone buying down here for months is in profit, as opposed to a second cycle coin, right? You were buying last cycle at the highs. You were catching a falling knife, buying on the way down. And so a lot of those people end up waiting to get out of a position because the bags are heavy, right? So first cycle coins, hot narrative, strong teams, strong projects that get attention, right? This is an attention economy. And the projects that can garner attention either through, influential people talking about them, or the headlines that they capture, they do well. Pro legendary, Bitcoin just surpasses. We were just talking about that. Is this a live? There we go. Bitcoin flips silver. Funny, just talking about this. And Bitcoin's soon going to flip the Saudi Aramco number 7. Then Bitcoin's going to flip Amazon and Google and become a top 5 asset. We'll see. Right? And maybe it does get to 5 trillion. We'll see. That'll be a big number. It'd become the number 2 biggest asset in the world. I pointed out when I was talking to Ron a couple days ago, how the overall crypto market is currently $2.95 trillion. Right? So the overall market is less than Microsoft. It's less than Apple, less than Nvidia. And that's Bitcoin, that's Ethereum, Solana, and all the alts combined. This is a small asset class. It seems big to us, but it's small. All right. It doesn't take a lot of money to come into these projects to move the chart. And that's why we get this hyper volatility, right? Which can be frustrating and it can be difficult to navigate, and it shakes a lot of people out, right? And you have to know how to play the volatility. But if you can play the volatility and you can master it, that's when you can do well. Harish, LFG, let's effing go. Feels weird how nobody's talking about crypto. They're starting though, Andrew. They're starting. And I know they're starting for two reasons. One is I have a small channel, but I did a stream last week before the pump. I had 21 people on the live. Today I have 42. You're seeing people go back to crypto YouTube. Two, I was at my daughter's soccer game yesterday. My 75-year-old father-in-law brought up Bitcoin. All right. And again, my brother-in-law texted me. My brother texted me today. And so it's starting. And that the talk is going to increase as Bitcoin continues to go crazy. And then alts start running, right? When these little guys start popping off, when the smaller caps start popping off, normies are going to come in and they're going to pump things also, right? So let's pull up Metacade. You guys say that the Metacade announcement dropped? Here it is. All right, introducing Metacade Ambassador Program, launching with 10 plus ambassadors, 250,000 followers combined, Metacade verified, exclusive benefits and rewards. So Metacade is ramping up their marketing, right? We've seen this. I talked about this last week. They're ramping up their marketing. It's one of the reasons why I think they're getting this traction. Cryptic Poet is partnered with them, and a bunch of big accounts are now partnered with them. I talked about this being an attention economy, right? And in order to capitalize, in order to garner that attention, you need the voices to amplify your product. And Games for a Living did it recently also. Games for a Living is now partnered with Travlad, who I know because I've been on his space speaking from the Chuck account. And so Travlad is a big meme coin influencer. He's also in Caspa. He's on the Dagnite dog team. This is the first dog coin on Caspa, meme coin. So he's working alongside them. And he's also an ambassador of Games for a Living. All right, so these are good moves because you got to cut through the noise, right? You got to cut through the noise. And one of the ways to do that is to create an ambassador program. So, you know, Metacade also has coming up their other news story, which is the unicorn that Russ promised, right? They're gaming. I'm assuming that's a gaming partnership. And that'll be, I think he might be waiting on them to announce. I don't know. But let's see how Metacade is holding up on chart. Let's pull it up. There's a bit of a sell-off earlier. It's back up, going back up. Showing strength, right? It had a big wick down earlier, but it's rebounding. So Metacade is showing strength. And this is the last week, up 192% in 7 days. Hit a new all-time high on Base Network. Over 800 new holders, 9,000 holders in total. Multi $1 million plus trading volume days. 10 brand new games on tournaments. They're doing a lot. They're built to win. Ron doing a bit of teasing here. Big tease. Let's see. What else? This is the historical market cap from last cycle. And again, this is going to look vastly different this cycle. You can see Bitcoin, getting to over 2 trillion on its own, and a bunch of coins in the hundreds of billions of dollars. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And if you guys don't have any more, I think I covered everything I was going to get through. I'm going to stream again with Ron on Wednesday. We'll talk about altcoins. Bring your questions. We'll talk about top picks in different sectors, maybe AI, gaming, and RWA. And talk to you guys. And by then, who knows, maybe Bitcoin will be at, let's see where it's at now. Maybe Bitcoin will break 90K by Wednesday. Let's see. Thanks for coming through, everyone. Appreciate it. I will catch you guys on Wednesday evening. Peace.